Well, let's get some more reaction. Lee White, the CEO of the Institute of Chartered Accountants Australia, the professional body representing chartered accountants in the country, joins us now from Canberra. Thank you so much for your time. Just firstly, the return to surplus delayed till 2015-16 or 2016-17 effectively. Now, you didn't want to rush back to surplus, so are you happy with that?
Look, good morning, Bridie. I think the big picture here is that we've seen in recent times that the revenues that the government could have earned have moved quite significantly. So what we've got to understand is that there is a period when we will run deficits, but importantly we need to see a level of commitment coming back to balance and surplus. Whether we do achieve it in a 4-year plan, as has been outlined last night, there will always be question marks over that. It depends partially around the assumptions, but importantly the success for this country to return to surplus will be driven by the economic growth as much as any level of savings. And it's that growth where there are some significant question marks right at the moment.
Yeah, let's just go through some of the points that you've noted from the budget. In particular, small business. You say that the budget misses a chance to provide reforms to help SMEs. What do they need and why is that important for the economy?
Well, let me take the last question first. We're talking about trying to find that we've got the right amount of economic growth in this country for a sustainable period. And importantly, at the heart of that is small business. We need to ensure that all those types of businesses are being nurtured, being encouraged to actually grow to the full extent possible. Now, what we do like to see is that there is a tailoring of the tax system, that there is the right level of incentives for these businesses to move ahead. And last night, importantly, when we saw the press release from the Treasurer, you had to go to the last page of that press release even to see some response about small business. And so for us, we saw that there wasn't really enough incentives or tax reforms to drive that level of business. That is the area that will actually drive Australia's future success.
One thing you were pleased with was the infrastructure spending. Just take us through your response to that.
Thank you. Look, this was the theme that the Treasurer started with about a stronger budget. And importantly, when you think about the size and the geographical spread of our country, infrastructure is incredibly important. Why is it? Because at the end of the day, it leads to a stronger level of productivity if we get it right. Now, the challenge here is this is long-term spends and they have to be planned out in a particular manner. The government last night focused in on rail and road, and we can see that as important drivers to ensuring that there is the right level of business efficiency. But what is also important here is to think about other levels of infrastructure, ports, delivery of energy. What other ways can we ensure that our workforce is going to be driven in terms of infrastructure to allow that it delivers the most effective and efficient results? Importantly as well, Bridie, you can see that over time the margins that are being driven by Australian business will only find a stronger tightness, and therefore infrastructure again is going to be part of our solution.
In terms of corporate Australia, we've seen particularly multinationals targeted. What do you think of what the government proposing there in terms of closing loopholes around international business activity?
Look, we've certainly heard this language about closing loopholes, and our reach on this is that, importantly, every Australian wants to see everyone pay their fair share of tax. But we need to be very careful here that we are not sending signals, particularly to our international investors, that somehow we are trying to prevent them having a fair share of what would be the appropriate business conditions in Australia. Closing loopholes, if it's leading to closing anti-avoidance activities, very good. If it's going further than that, then our encouragement to the government would be to say, ensure that you are delivering the right messages, because part of our economic growth, again, besides small business, is ensuring that Australia is seen as an appropriate place for foreign investment.
And just quickly on the tax reform update and some of the measures to do with tax there, we did see a focus on increasing taxes rather than new imposts. Obviously we knew about the 0.5% increase to the Medicare levy, monthly PAYG. Just your thoughts on what we had in terms of tax levels?
Look, there has been some modifications to the taxation system. Importantly, there's been changes around the thin capitalisation and the level of deduction businesses would receive in this space. I think our reach back to the government is a huge amount of time and effort was spent engaging with the Henry Review of Taxation. That was in 2010. Still to this day, only a small amount of recommendations have been adopted from that report. So last night what we saw to a degree was some cherry picking of particular changes to the tax system. What business is looking for regarding taxation is a level of confidence where changes are predictable, and therefore we need to understand the bigger picture and the drive. The Henry Tax Report was actually setting this country up for decades of future tax changes, and we reach out to encourage both sides of Parliament to say, give business this level of plan so that they can operate in a confident environment, understanding the implications of the decisions that they would take.
Lee White, thank you so much for your time this morning. Lee White, they're CEO of the Institute of Chartered Accountants Australia. Coming up at 6:50 a.m. Eastern Time.